Welcome, my friends, to the God and Gig Show. This is a super special episode. We've never done this before. My wife, who only has joined me in, I believe, 2 episodes before, episode 100, I think she was with me, and then a few years before that. And now we have our first couple to join us on the God and Gig Show, John and Janiyah Harden. Would you guys like to say hello?
Hi.
Hello.
We are trying this out.
Me and John gonna be the same way.
A few words.
Nah, listen.
It's me and John.
I got you.
But
I'll speak
the
when I
reason
need
why I
to.
wanted to make sure you guys were on together. You are close friends. You are really brother and sister to me and Leah. We are like just peas in a pod.
I love her.
Sister friends. What do they call sister wives?
No, not sister wives.
Sister wives.
I want to make sure.
Sister
Lord.
friends.
I don't know how
friends.
that works. Okay, mom friends. I don't
I'll
know.
explain that to you after.
Exactly. This is why we need them. Because
Right,
I
right.
step in it the second I open my mouth. Like, no, I think that's not what you're supposed to say. But the most important reason I wanted to have you here is, again, because we are talking today about what we've kind of made work is we made the music life work. You're both amazing musicians, and you're also both married and have made that work. So first, introduce yourselves a little bit. Just tell them, give them the 30-second elevator speech of who you are and this amazing woman's next to you and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll just jump into some conversation.
This is a test.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, let's see what you're going to say.
Right. Okay. So, I've had the pleasure of being married to her for 14.
Years.
Yes, I got it right. 14 years. All right. So, I play saxophone, keyboard. I write, compose. I pray. I fast. I try to just be the ultimate support system as much as possible and have like lots of patience in the process. But it's a beautiful journey, definitely.
And how many kids do you have?
3. Yes, 3 kids that's loud. Yeah, it keeps me like on my toes constantly. 6:00 a.m. They have a new song that they just wrote.
They're all following in your footsteps.
Right.
And we got to talk about that a little later. But yeah, that's got to be the most fun. Like we have 3. We're each. I haven't even put this together yet. But with 3 kids, like each one of us, with.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Then we took the podcast from me and said, "Wait a minute, we have 3 kids too."
Yeah.
And we had 3 talented, loud,
Yeah.
boisterous people that, weave on the other side, but they're still loud, they're still boisterous, and they're still costing us money.
And they know not to wake us up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
No.
They
See,
sleep. Let
we're
them
still
sleep in
working
now.
on the 6 a.m. My God.
Yes, we beat you. All right, so Janiyah, would you like to introduce yourself and just say a little bit about what you do? And you're just the better half of this amazing couple.
Man, I mean, how am I supposed to follow that?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Janiyah, and I am the wife of this handsome fellow right here.
Oh, thank you.
You rock. I sing and I compose and write and a new author, children's book.
Link will be in the bio.
Author. And I dabble in acting and soon to be.
I feel a lot of humility coming over here. I don't feel like you need to get the full breadth of your amazingness. But that's our job.
She's really
She
downplaying
is, I know, right? We
all the stuff she
now
does.
in God and Gigs, we do talk about this a lot, about this whole, we're going to get into so much, but the whole problem of wonderful people who deserve to get a bigger platform but don't feel comfortable talking about themselves in that way. And I'm hearing it right here. And you two are way more talented, way more gifted than you give yourselves credit for. And in the world, of course, we're indies, right? We don't have a big thing, a big press machine behind us.
No.
And Leah, I always try to talk her up to people about how amazing she's like the
And she is.
the I don't want to call it mimic because it's not mimic, but as soon as she sees something, she can like figure it out and do it. Like she sees a meal, boom, I'm gonna figure that out. And then
That's amazing.
then the music that I hear that is difficult for me, she's like, oh, I like that one. Like that's the hardest one. Why do you want to do?
Right.
So yes, Leah, quickly, since you have not been on the podcast for a year at least, would you like to? Just
I feel like I was on the podcast this year.
maybe not 2022. Nope. So
Okay.
technically not this year.
So what do you want me to do?
Just let them say hi.
I'm Leah. I'm his wife.
Yeah.
What?
We're all practicing talking about saying good things about ourselves. So.
I'm a side hustle singer, I guess. A cook. That's my passion. Anything artistic, I'm down for it. I'm quiet until I know you, and then I'm not.
Right.
I'm an observer. That's really what it is. I'm an observer.
Well, the reason why I wanted to make sure that we talked about all four of us.
Well, you gotta talk
talking
about
okay,
yourself.
and I introduced myself at the beginning. So
No, you
is
just
that-
said my name is Alan Paul.
okay, Leah.
More.
There's some special like things that happen in podcast editing that, yeah.
It's
But
editing.
so I love how I knew it was going to turn out very interesting.
I'm hoping that is going to be on the podcast.
It is
Yeah,
all
let's
good.
go.
I'm
It'll
not
be
cutting
in the blooper
anything. It's all
roll.
good. All the blooper, the B roll is going to be amazing. Okay, so let's jump into some real like topics that I know we both deal with as couples.
Yes.
One, for of course, is the music grind. How you guys, number one, I love the story about how you met. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
even tell. That might be the whole podcast in itself.
Right.
But just tell me in a way, either one of you can start, like how did your artistry, your music lend to you guys becoming a couple? Because sometimes it could be something that divides you, and then other
True.
times it could be something that brings you together. So how did that music thing start to be a part of the beginning of your marriage?
Oh, it was definitely before marriage. How it started because he had already decided to start practicing piano. Sax is his first instrument. That's what his degree is in.
Yep.
Tenor sax. But he started learning piano at age 25.
Yeah.
Well, how did we miss this? I don't remember this.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah, he didn't start playing piano until he was 25.
I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
I'm not mad.
He big
I was
man.
late.
So, but he said God told him to learn how to play piano.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, almost 15 years later, it has definitely benefited me because, as you know, down here in South Florida, it is hard to find a rhythm section player. And,
Yes, Lord.
we're talking about being humble, Mr. Alan Paul. He has his choice and pick of whom he would like to play for.
Yeah.
So, I have been fortunate enough to be graced with your talent, sir. And I appreciate it. But he is always booked and busy. So,
which is good.
which is phenomenal, and it's a blessing.
Yeah.
But I am very much blessed to have a piano player in my house because he listened to what God had to say in aiding in, us becoming the Harden Project. And, from performing live to studio to, hey, I got a song that woke me up at 2 a.m.
2
in the
o'clock in the
morning.
morning.
Isn't it nice to
And
have somebody that can actually
He hearing me play oompa oompa on the
Yeah.
piano and
Seriously.
saying that's not how that
awful.
goes.
Please move.
Get up, please. Get
Okay,
up, please.
So I gotta ask, okay, Leah, you jump in anytime because I know this happens. You just mentioned it. Whenever you're trying to discuss something musical, and like the whole wait, I'm right, no, you're right. Like
Yeah.
a musical
Oh.
argument becomes something
Yeah. Tension.
else.
Right.
So tell me that's not just our house.
No, it's both houses, but I had to learn to like be quiet and listen, like, and that's a muscle that I had to like build over time. Like, okay, stop cutting her off, let her like think through her thoughts and stuff like that. have like patience and things. So that's something that I had to like learn over time is to just stop and listen. And it's hard at times because like you have like ideas, thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to pause your mouth, your thoughts, and say, let her finish, let her think it through, because it could be not just better, but different, unique, a new, fresh direction.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something that I had to learn. It took years, and I'm still working on like stopping and letting her do her thought process at her tempo, her pace. And you know, and that's something that also brought us together. You know, just watching her artistry and saying, okay, how can I compliment it? Not improve it, not make it better because it's still a masterful piece. But how can I support it and make it easier?
See, that's a huge thing for me and Leah because yeah, see, she's laughing, but that's
all I'm gonna say on that.
say what?
That's all I had to say.
Oh, did he just say what you had to say?
No,
or?
I said what I had to say.
Well,
We're still learning that.
Elaborate, please elaborate.
Oh yeah, it's hard
because
Well, one, I think it's because I have a hard time expressing what I'm hearing, and so he tries to guess for me,
right. Same here.
and then I get frustrated, and I'm
Yep.
just like, forget it, forget it. We'll just do it your way. But also because I don't perform as often as you do, so my muscle is weak. I would say I don't use it often enough. So I will get an idea and it'll just bounce around, and then I'll try to convey it, or I'll try to find something that kind of is already done that sounds kind of like what I want to do, and tell him how I want to tweak it to make it more mine. But like you said, he's always booked and busy, so a lot of times when he's not at the piano, I just want to leave him alone and not make him be at the piano.
I see.
So
Yeah.
But my struggle with that is, and here's again where kind of our couples are both similar and different. You two work together as a team. You have literally are the Harden Project.
Right.
Your partnership is your brand.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to, basically be the side man, sometimes front man, and then, everyone's asking Leah to come out and be in front. She's like, no.
Right.
But like she
it's not my
said,
calling.
like she said, when I see her, I try to kind of push her to the front. It does feel like I understand what you said. Like it feels like I'm trying to take over, even though I'm literally like, no, treat me like you would treat me like any other accompanist. Like I'm asking her, like,
Right.
give me the date, show me those music you want, and tell me what to do.
Right.
Like I'm literally saying that to her, like all the time. Like don't say no, you're busy. Like no, if you were Janiyah, I would say you would come with me with a set list, right?
Right.
And you'd say, do it this way. I want this, and I'm basically telling my wife the same thing. Tell me, so that I don't fall into
Right.
that other role. And I think that's the hardest part. Is that, like you said, like you're debating, am I husband at this stage or am I MD? Am I wife or am I lead singer? You know what I mean? It's like that's the part that I think, like you said, we're both working. I'm glad Leah said at the beginning, we're not experts.
Right.
We're not saying we're perfect at any of this, but it is something I think we don't talk about. Like, because I'm really, honestly, one of the reasons, very transparently, one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast is because I'm tired of seeing couples in our place who don't navigate that. And you see the devastation afterward.
Right.
And I'm not saying music is the thing that breaks people up, but I'm saying it can't be
Communication.
Right.
It's always
It's a
communication.
symptom.
It's always communication.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a symptom of the other issues that pop up. And like you said, Leah, communication turns out, well, if you can't communicate on how I want this song to sound, maybe you're not listening to me the way I want the kids to be raised, and maybe you're not listening.
right.
And it's like
Right.
all these other things. So yeah, I feel like it's super important.
I definitely think the how to communicate.
God, get out my head.
Ooh.
Lord,
listen.
get out my head, Jesus.
And let me tell you, I was going.
That's crazy.
And let me tell you, as we've been building this muscle. When he said, when you said about being patient
Right.
and listening, hearing, I definitely had to learn that too. But or allow you to finish your thoughts too, because usually what happens is once I get out what it is that I'm hearing, it's usually close to what he had already
Right.
thought too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
and,
like,
and that's
it's like two trains. There's
Yeah,
slightly.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they're still going. We're literally going the same way, and which usually comes out like so. It's eerie because he's
Yeah.
like, it's immediate. He's like, I'm like, he was like, I hear it, boom, and he starts to play, and I'm like, that was it. Like, how did you
Yeah.
know? But I think because the marriage and that bleeds in, you can make it work. It's still your partner, in every
Yeah.
sense of the word. You know each other more than what you think. But then sometimes you end up taking advantage of that
Yeah.
because you think you know.
Sorry.
Because you
Okay.
think you
Yeah.
know.
This entire
alright.
thing, I feel like it should be just like one big like confession booth. Of
Because
like,
you,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry.
And that's hard. That's
Because
hard.
the intimacy, I did a podcast. I got to look in the show notes and find out where it is. But there's an intimacy of performing with people, right? That even very transparently, again, it's scary. Like she has watched me work with people, and people be like, "You guys," and I'm working with some other singer, some other woman, and they're like, "You guys are so amazing together," and I'm like, that don't feel right. Like there's only
Yeah.
one woman I'm supposed to be like centered.
Yeah.
Like one,
Right,
you know,
right.
but musically speaking, that is something that happens. Like you feel, you understand where someone's going, and we're talking to creatives of all kinds. So it may not be like performance, maybe it's visual arts or whatever.
Right,
but
right.
like anytime you're working with another person, like that artist thing, there's a connection, and it's
Yeah.
like it's and just I should be asking my wife this, like how she navigated, like seeing us in other areas. Like you work with other people, you work with other
Yeah.
people, and then you got to build a connection with those other people, and you got to sit,
Right.
like you said, now you got to take a step back and let that relationship. So, and then you too.
So me personally, that's not a problem because musically, I don't feel like I'm at the level that you are. I'm not being
I understand.
okay. You've been doing this for a long time, and you do this every day. I'm not there. So when you're with a singer or some other musicians, because it happens with other musicians as well,
music
not
in
just
general.
females.
Yeah.
That's just like one aspect of your life. But like once you leave that stage, they don't know how to handle you. They don't know how to take care of you.
Right.
That's mine.
Yeah. Got you.
So, because I know that there are musicians that you are perfect on stage with, but once you're off stage, it's just like you guys butt head on everything else. I feel it doesn't bother
Yeah.
me in any way.
That's a great point. That it's not. It doesn't go like the assumption is like, oh well, we vibe together, we flow together.
Yeah.
You guys, again, we're speaking in South Florida, to people all over the country and the world, but South Florida has this very
Small.
tribal.
No,
So
you're
there's the
right.
people that flow and work with people, and there are people that don't.
Yeah.
And you just have to know, like, she has, and I'm not ashamed to say it, she has a list of people I'm not allowed to work with.
Yeah.
Because she just knows when I work with these certain people, I'm coming home with a bad attitude. Like I'm always going to be complaining, frustrated. And again, it affects our marriage because now she's got to navigate me trying to get that energy off of me.
Yes.
So how do y'all deal with that when like the pressure of relationships outside comes inside your?
Yeah, so you have to cut them off like ASAP because this marriage is my top priority, right? That's it, cut and dry. There's no like gray area to it. This is my top priority.
Yeah.
So if something is like stressing it out, causing issue and things like that, it's not a discussion. I have to cut it off. And I obviously want to be as professional as possible, but there's been different groups and projects in the past that I had to, step away from everything else because you're right. You come home frustrated you're mad, and sometimes it takes a day or two to get that energy off of you. And the situation happened 2 days ago, but two
Still
days
following.
later, right, it's
It's
still
still
with
following.
you. So yeah, it's crazy. And a lot of the situation is like prioritizing what's your priorities.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I'm constantly reinforcing. Like, what's my priorities? Um what am I doing? What's my purpose? What am I focusing on? And everything else. And that helps with also communication, right? Because I have to talk to her as much as possible. And she's talking about how to communicate. For me, it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but she has lots of ideas and thoughts in her head. And I actually tell her, text it to me.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds crazy. So we could be sitting like in the same room, and to help me organize my thoughts, text it to me so I can visually like read it and
Yeah.
process it. So when she said how you communicate, that's something I had to open my mouth and express to her. Babe, I know it sounds funny, but if you could communicate to me this way, where I can read it, visually process it, and everything else, I could make sense. And then sometimes, let's be honest, we forget stuff,
Oh Lord.
right? So
I heard
I forget what she said, and rather than frustrate her and say, "What was that again? What'd you say again? What's the thought?" I can go back and read the text
Yeah.
and everything else. And sometimes I read the text again just to reinforce, hey, this is what we're doing. That's the goal, things like that. So when she said how you communicate, it has to be both parties in a marriage.
Yeah.
That's like opening their mouth and saying, hey, I need this in order for me to be better for you.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
can do this for me, I can step up and do this because this is how I operate and everything else. So yeah, the part about how you communicate, yeah, is huge. And I also created a mental checklist for myself of I don't need to work with this person.
Yeah. No, that's
You know,
so
and
huge, man.
it's yeah, it has to happen.
It has to happen because I feel like what's happening with a lot of, again, I don't want to go to the negative all the time, but I think a lot of people don't realize the effect that the over time. It's not just one gig. It's not just one discussion. You know, it's over time that we go back and like, oh my gosh, did we ever really resolve that issue? Like, and you didn't. And like I said, there's so many other, like Leah said, there's so many issues that have nothing to do with music, nothing to do with gigging, that it kind of pops up. It's like, oh, this is an example of, you know, why you need to like listen
Right.
closely, why I need to tell her every single thing that's happening so that I don't blindside her with, oh, I didn't say I was going here. I didn't tell you.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, it's like, but that's disrespect to her because she is trying to keep the whole calendar. She does. She is like the CFO and the CEO of like our business as a marriage and as a musical, like a business.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Because
if
it
I
is
don't
a
give her the
business.
like, if I don't give her the tools to work with, I can't be mad that things go downhill. Usually, what happens when things go downhill is when I haven't communicated,
Communicate.
right? When I haven't told her everything that's going on. I want to ask you this too, because this is the one that's big, and I just had to go here. We both, again, this is God and Gigs. We've been in church forever.
Right.
Has there ever been a place where that has been either something you have to work through in terms of like how y'all both operate either in ministry? You know, Leah and I have our own war stories. I think we all have war stories. So I don't want to like drag the church down to, oh, you know, this is what I want to say, like, what have been like the biggest positives and the biggest negatives of how I'm trying to navigate even working with the church, all that kind of stuff. Like, has that ever been something you had to deal with?
I think the biggest positive and the biggest negative is the same thing, which is working together, being the ministry. We're in a smaller church. And we actually love our church and we love the people in our church. So this is but because because the church is small, which we enjoy, it also sort of, when something is small, that means usually you're the only people that's doing it.
Yeah.
So we are the music ministry. He
Yeah.
is the minister of music,
Yeah.
and the minister. And I am the choir, though.
Right.
Though there
I
is
am the choir.
right.
Yeah.
I am in our kid, and of course now our kids, and also some the deacons of the church too, and there are a couple other, but literally that's half the church.
Wow.
And usually, that ends up in the choir stand if we do everybody together. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it is us. So the benefit, the positive to that is us. So we can practice. Because we are connected and intimately, and I like literally for this past Sunday, it was Juneteenth.
Right.
And our pastor was like, "Hey, can we do?" Because in my mind, we had not discussed what we were going to do for church, and which is horrible, I know, but we had not discussed it. And he said, "Oh, can you do Lift Every Voice and Sing, and maybe like older songs,
Yeah.
Wade in the
Hymns.
Water." And literally that sparked something else, and we were right in line with scripture. With sometimes, because the Holy Spirit will speak to you. And literally, when he said wade in the water, after he read the scripture, something said, "Janiyah, sing Go Down Moses." And I literally just the refrain. And so I said, I'm going to sing it a cappella, but then I'm going to come in with, and because we had that intimate relationship musically, it was easy for him to pick up on what it was that I was doing, which came out, to be a really powerful arrangement. And I mean, all Pastor could do was say, "Wow," like afterwards, because it worked, and he was able to tie, especially when you're listening, like when you really are listening to what the Spirit has to say, and he really and you're in tune with how he wants to move, everything it can't help but line up, right? You can't help but it be exactly what the people need.
But it's so important that starts at home, like what you're saying. I think one of the things that Leah and I really, we've been in two different ministries now, being this ministry last 12, 13 years. And then before that, same thing, 12, 13 years, she was, same thing. She was the praise and worship section leader, like and then we're both working full time at the church at the same time. She's signing my checks. It's like, we're
was not signing your checks.
But basically, you were helping her you were
I did
approving the
not
budget.
sign any checks. I just want that to be clear.
But I'm just saying, she was right there in everything, and so much of that, I think, where we all got lost at was where it was. I'll take, you said the positive. I think the negative is, like you said, where it becomes all about the ministry and not about you as a marriage, and the facade was more important than me being able to come home and say, "Hey, honey, how are you really feeling?"
Right.
Not, "You're my employee, you're my musical partner, you're my soloist." It's like, no, you're my wife first. Right. And so a lot of times where I felt like I was closest to God, this is like an admission again, it's like confessional, y'all. I was closest to God because ministry, everything was beautiful and the church was there. And then she'd be going home, I didn't even know what was bothering her or how she was feeling, because I was on such a high.
Right.
From church. We church.
Right,
We had
right.
church. But did she, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
Is this real, or is this just something that we just do from Sunday to Sunday? And so I think it's so important that we can break away from, yes, we worship. Yes, God gave us our musical gifts. Yes, God gave us his creative, but he gave us, before he gave us a job, he gave us a wife,
Right.
before he gave us a ministry, I should say, before he gave you ministry, he gave you a wife. And then he's like, go do this, go fill the earth, go, blah, 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 blah. Like all the instructions came after y'all were together.
Right.
So
right.
I feel like a lot of it is where, you can jump in.
I'm going to ask you a hard question.
Oh, boy.
Because I'm going to ask you, because this is the negative side too. Was there ever the guilt or the laying of the guilt when, like, there are times where I'm just like, I mean, you feel sort of that church guilt of, I really want to stay home today. I really want to I'm tired. Like, you literally, I'm tired. But as the music ministers, because we're doing, nobody who's going to sing, who's going to do, who was doing it before was my question.
Yes.
Right.
But the guilt, like, did you ever lay that on her? Because I know he knows that he's guilty, and then I'm guilty too of laying it on myself. Like, oh God, like I gotta go to church. I gotta go because have you been guilty of the guilt, laying on the guilt of who's going to do it?
So I think at our first church, which was probably smaller, it was still large enough that it wasn't like if Leah wasn't there, they would be fine.
Right.
So that was never really a problem for me per se.
But I think the guilt though was not necessarily everything shuts down if you're not there, but where is she? Why isn't she here? Why isn't Alan here?
Right.
What, like that whole aspect again, and that's why I got to be careful. I want to cut you off, babe, because we just talked
It's all
about
right. You already did.
No, I didn't mean to. I was just got a thought. Go ahead, finish your thought.
And then I was gonna say at our second church, I was only on the praise team for like 2 years, but I ran a whole nother ministry, hospitality ministry, and I can tell you that I felt like I had to be there every Sunday, even though I had a big team, but like I had to make sure that it was going along. And I did get burnt out, and eventually I did it for like 10 years, and then I finally was like, I need to retire. I'm getting too old for this, and I passed that baton. So I think, and it was the ministry was larger, and it was not him on me, it was me on me. So, and I had to reconcile the fact that it can work without me if you set it up right. So I just had to put the pieces in place to learn how to let it work on its own.
And let me say that as I realize that might have come across like nobody else can do praise and worship. There are people there to do praise and worship at our church. There are people there and they do it, but it's just that you feel, even if it's not our Sunday.
Right.
Also, I would say you're more in the soloist role than I am. I've always preferred to be an ensemble singer, and I will work it so that I am not.
Right.
In that position where if Leah's not here, the song can't get done.
Got you.
But see, in my mind, I want that to be. It's just, our church is small, but I think even when it's not our Sunday per se, like when it's the men's Sunday, I just in the back, like if I'm not, I'm not singing, I'm playing the drums.
Is there a feeling? Well, here's the thing. I think it has a lot of this has to do with. I'll just tell this story. Basically, one of the things that kind of freed me from the feeling of and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I'm just saying I felt like I had to prove myself to God by my faithfulness. One of the first things that like really freed me from that was there's two instances where long time ago, someone basically I came out after rehearsal and someone basically asked me a question about the love of God and how did it feel to be loved by God, and I couldn't answer him because I didn't equate the feeling of feeling loved with the feeling of worshiping. It was like, what? I'm supposed to feel loved. It was all just a give for me. It was never I receive in those moments. And so the piggyback to that is the post I remember writing about this very same thing was that the thing that freed me was when I realized that I'm loved no matter how many notes I play or how many notes I don't. That perfect love casts out all fear, and fear doesn't have torment. I think it's 1 John. That I was feeling torment when I wasn't performing. I was feeling torment and feeling fear and shame because I wasn't playing or whatever, and it was attached to my identity. And so every single time I wasn't, basically I felt like this accusing finger, like you're not showing God love, but I wasn't really receiving love from him. You know what I mean? I wasn't not receiving. I didn't sense it. I didn't allow it. And so I think a lot of that for us musicians and creatives, at least I can say I felt like I had to remind myself that God's got angels that can play and sing circles around me. He don't need me. He does not need me. He wants me to feel joy in doing this. This is a quote I remember from, I never even saw the movie, but from Chariots of Fire, where the guy says, when I run, I feel his pleasure. So when he runs, when he does the Olympic run, he felt, so I want to, now when I sit down this piano behind me, I want to feel God's pleasure in me enjoying myself. So that is different from, I gotta do it. I gotta, if I don't stand up, if I don't sing this worship chorus. So that was my personal story. I don't know if that, take that for it was.
That's literally, that resonated with me, feeling like, because I just felt like there was a point in time where I wasn't singing, or I could, it's not that I couldn't sing, but I said if I got the opportunity again, I'd never not sing again. And so, we make those kinds of crazy promises, like
be careful what you ask.
You got, that I was like, I said, I just want to be able to sing. Give me my, make sure, that I have my voice, and I'm going to praise you with it every time. Like, I don't do it. He knows. If I don't pray before a gig, I literally stop.
That's huge.
Right.
I have to, I don't feel like, literally I feel off if I don't pray to him before the gig. Like, I literally, I don't care. And I say this all the time as part of my prayers, that even, it doesn't matter what kind of gig it is. I tell him, I said, though we are not edifying, we're not praising your name with these songs, I'm you with these gifts that you given me.
Yes, you're displaying his gifts.
Yeah, because you still give them to me. If I can't speak to him before I perform, before I feel totally off. And so, but I think that really resonated with the joy of being able to, because I realize maybe I'm not always feeling that. Sometimes I do, but it should be all the time. That I'm feeling his love when I'm performing.
Because I can tell you, like right now, that's one of the things.
Or worshiping, not performing.
Yeah, but I love the fact that like we're going both places, right? Because I know when you sing, Janiyah, when you guys are performing, we've been in this various place, like having fun performing.
Right.
The joy is joyous. It is like people love you too because they see the joy that y'all have. And sometimes I get really upset when people say, "Oh, it's couple goals," and they don't know like we just had a fight right before we got on stage. You know what I mean? Like they don't know that part. Like, all right, we're goals. All right.
Yeah.
Be careful what you ask for. But I do feel like there's a natural sense of this is who we are. Authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I know we got to start wrapping this up, but I just want to first talk to any young musical couples
Right.
who are like, and not just musical, but anything creative where one is like with us, where one is professional, one is more like doing this for fun and can do professional, but chose not to, or whatever their place is. Like, what would be the one? I hate doing the one piece of advice, but you got to do it, right?
True.
So, what would you say to the couple that's like where you were a long time ago, and like you wish you'd heard this little piece of advice? What would you say to that couple that's getting ready to start, and they're both creators?
Yeah, I have to say that you have to like set boundaries, and also. Like, it has to be a point in time where you, like, turn it off. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a musician 24, right? So, here's my habit. And even today, Janiyah has to nudge me and be like, John, if I get the going on something, she has to stop me at certain points in times. You cannot be businessman 24 hours a day.
Oh, Jesus.
You can't be
Okay,
musician. Like it has to, you have to have boundaries.
I said advice to somebody else, not me.
Right. So even to the point where So technology has taken away office hours,
Yes,
right?
it has.
You know, cell phones, tablets, email is taking away office hours. And if you don't actually set like boundaries with your technology, you can find yourself like 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, still in office mode when you need to be spouse. So to any young couple, I would say,
Or old.
oh, yeah, me too, cause is I can say this because I'm guilty of it,
Me too.
right? So at some point, you have to stop and be spouse. You have to stop and be. I have to stop and be husband. And that's the biggest piece of advice I could say. Don't let business, musicianship, and technology dominate your time, because if you don't control it, at some point in time, you'll look up. I have, this successful thing, that successful thing, this successful thing, but a gigantic disconnect with your wife because the communication, came to a screeching halt, and it's just been business, business, business. But you forgot the intimacy and everything else, because at the end of the day, like, your wife is still, a priority.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest piece of advice, that you have to set boundaries, limits, and everything else, or you'll lose it.
Man, okay, so now you done beat me up, John. I did not ask for
No.
all that. Leah's literally like the entire time. No, I mean, it's so good that you said I'm
Yeah.
teasing. I'm trying to lighten the mood because
Right,
it is
right.
so important. And I always have to remind myself when we do talks like this, common sense is not common. What we think everybody knows, someone else needed to hear. And so
Right.
I'm laughing at myself because I know this, and I know that we literally go through this every night where I turn the TV off. I mean, not TV off, turn the computer off, close the laptop, no more Twitter, no more,
Yeah.
no more reposts or reels.
Right.
Because like you said, just turning it off is so hard because like you said, the phones give us 24/7. But I think number one, just to kind of like piggyback on you, we all have to keep learning this. And then number two, I just want to ask the wives, because we have one who's a performer up front and then one who's a self-proclaimed musician's widow. And we had to explain that to John what a musician's widow is. But yeah, like what would either one of you say is like the most important thing that's kept you surviving us
Right.
as musical husbands?
You want me to go first? So my thing is always communication. Don't ever take it for granted that something is understood. Whether it comes to how you feel, what your schedule is, what you need, or what you're committed to other people. For us, it works best when we know everything. To the point where, like, if he has a toothache, let me know. If you have to go buy gear, let me know so that I can plan, organize our life together so that we can like be in synergy. Because you think you're like this and then something comes out of left field and it breaks down the connection and the communication. So everything to me is always back to communication. Nothing is too small. Nothing is not important. Nothing is understood.
Definitely, that's a good
Wow.
one.
Yeah.
And you, Janai, what you like to add?
You, Janai?
I guess he's so good at I'm gonna say pouring in to your partner and supporting your partner. So it's both ends. Like he pours into me, which literally, like I feel myself, especially right now, where I'm sort of overflowing. Like even he's like, what I did was this. It's like coming out of me because he literally poured into me like, you can do it. You have it in you. You're just pouring into me. But then he doesn't just pour into me and allow it to just spill all over the place. No, he supports it from under too. So, with all those ideas that he helped me to, that I'm allowed to now, sprout and have, he's trying to support that along with that. And I think that's so important that you can pour into your partner and support them. I think
that's a great. I've never even thought about that. That's so powerful. That's like it's both.
Right.
It's not just because then you get out both, right? You get pour what you're pouring in, and then you also say, okay, but I'm not going to let you like hold this by yourself.
right.
Now that it's coming out, and I think
Right.
Leah and I both are examples of that. Where a lot of time, babe, you do like, oh, well, that's your thing. You're doing. I was like, no, like I couldn't do this without you. So she pumps me up, but I couldn't. It wouldn't survive. It wouldn't be even existing without that. I didn't know you had something to say, or you were just giving me the tap.
I have
All right.
nothing to say.
I was like, oh, but I forget. But this has been amazing, guys. Please, now, Janiyah, you literally are becoming an author as we speak, like a published author. You guys have projects out. Please make sure that you tell them out loud, even though we have everything in those little show notes and descriptions. Let them know where they can find you on socials, all the different things, so they can become more acquainted
so
with the
horrible
Hardens.
at this.
And this is why we're practicing. Look, everybody see, we are literally practicing this in front of you. We are all horrible at the promotion stuff, and yet you have to tell people.
Yeah.
You have to tell the good news. This is like the good
True,
news, right?
true.
You're evangelizing, but you're evangelizing about the good news about the Hardens. So tell them the gospel right now. What's going on? Where they can find you.
So you can find us on all social media platforms except Twitter. At the Harden Project, HARDEN Project, on IG, on Facebook. The Harden Project at gmail.com, thehardenproject.com. All of those things, everything is the Harden Project. And we are going to soon be getting in the studio finally.
Yes, Lord.
Finally.
You just did a live EP recording.
We just did a live EP
Yeah.
and it was sold out. And we got really great reviews. And I'm excited. Also, the Harden Project on the education side, we just released a book. I released a book called Fat Cat Caterpillar.
Yeah.
And it's a children's book and it targets primary grades, K-2. And it's a storybook musical, and the Harden Project will present that. And that is in 3 weeks. We will debut that at the African Cultural Arts Center in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
So excited about
Trying to
that.
get my nephews to come see that.
So you can say a little louder, you got a mic there. You can say
Yeah.
You want who to come see it? To say they can.
My nephews.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so all children of all ages, definitely go get that book. Go get Janiyah's book. Go follow everything that the Hardens are putting out. John is also out here just killing it on sax and his own.
Yes.
And so,
And
like, anytime you
piano.
can find him playing anywhere. But we thank you guys so much for being out there. Wait,
No.
what's happened? What's going on?
Freeze.
What happened?
What he
Alan
trying-
Paul
he was
will
trying.
be at the Sandrell Rivers.
Well, I may
It'll-
have been at the Sandro.
Yeah, by the
He
time
may
this comes
have
out.
by the time this comes out.
True.
Alan
But
was at-
I'm sure Alan was at or will be at the Sandrell Rivers Theater
Yes.
and playing his original music on that beautiful black and white key instrument called the piano. And he's amazing. Right,
you.
Alan
Is it?
Paul?
Yes, I stand accused of not talking about my own things. And even though this
Yes.
is God and Gigs, the one thing I oftentimes forget is saying, yes, I do gig. Yes, I am one of you. I do perform. I almost never talk about it because I'm always trying to let people know what the amazing people that I'm interviewing. But yes, my wife as well, she will not ever talk about the fact that she's been trying to get an EP out. And
The
one
EP
day,
that will never happen.
if you're
One
watching
day.
this years from now, you are probably out there listening to it right now. But most
There is
important
one more thing.
Yes, one more thing.
we
Go
have
ahead.
Sit, Sing, and Swing coming up in July, August, and September.
Yes, with La Vie.
Yes.
Yes,
Shout
so
out to La Vie. Charlene. That's her name.
Exactly.
Stay tuned for that.
So if you guys want to find out about any of these local projects that we're doing, definitely check out our socials. Everything will be in the show notes. But for those of you who may not be in Miami, anywhere nearby, just make sure you stay connected with the Hardens. Continue to follow God and Gigs. This is what we do. We promote healthy, authentic artists who are living their best life from the inside out. And thank you so much, John and Janiyah, our friends, our family.
Thank you
for coming in and joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having
It's
us.
a pleasure.
It was.
Absolutely.
Some cake.
Let's go some cake.
Come on, Kate.